We've talked briefly about deities that are no longer popular. And of course, there's three categories to this. There's deities that are still popular, and then there's deities that from early on never became popular. But the most important subject here are deities that really were quite popular, and a lot of art was produced, and then over time they became no longer popular for various reasons. So with this topic, we really have to divide the deities between iconic and non-iconic forms. The iconic forms are the Vajrayana tradition, images of deities which have the function of being meditational objects, and they're very fixed, they're very static. The figures are not dynamic really in any way. Now, for the other class of figures that were really popular from the 8th century up until the 14th century are the non-iconic figures of characters primarily from the Mahayana Sutras. And with that, we're really talking about Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, Vajrapani, Maitreya. These are really the four that are mentioned in the sutras, play a narrative role in the sutras, but then also play a role in Tantric Buddhism as being meditational deities. Now, of the ones mentioned, of course, Maitreya is just not so important in Vajrayana Buddhism because he will in fact be the next Buddha after this age. So he has a more important role that he's studying for at this time. And so it's not necessary that he play a major role as a Vajrayana meditational deity during the time of Shakyamuni Buddha. Now, also in this group of non-iconic figures, we actually put Tara in there. And the reason is because Tara was put there by the artists and the patrons and donors 1,000 years ago. Tara was, although a tantric deity, and most of the text, or if not all of the texts concerning Tara, they really should be Vajrayana and tantric literature. But she's often treated as though she was a Mahayana sutra figure. And so therefore, she's been included by the artists and the donors, and so her art follows the same style as the non-iconic art of Manjushri, Lokeshvara, Vajrapani, and Maitreya. So we have to naturally include Tara, even though technically, in terms of status and in terms of literature, she comes from a different category. Now, non-iconic figures can be depicted as the artist chooses, or the donor, or simply based on what are the cultural norms of a certain region of ancient Swat Valley, Kashmir, Pala India, northern India, Bengal, Nepal, Tibet. All of these areas, they have their own aesthetics. They have their own standards. They have a sense of what they like and don't like in terms of jewelry and garments. So they make their own choices, and these, of course, choices change over time. So with these figures, we have some of these, such as Lokeshvara and Manjushri, we have them in relaxed posture. With Avalokiteshvara coming out, especially of the Swat Valley, we have Avalokiteshvara in a thinking posture, with his head slightly leaning on his right hand, with the elbow resting on the right knee, in a very relaxed kind of mood of deep thought. Then we have a number of different types of postures, very relaxed postures, seated postures, and then we have a number of standing postures. Now, the standing postures, they can come out of different sets of Mahayana figures. We could have a set of the 8 great bodhisattvas, and they're all standing, and the central sculpture might be an Amitabha or a Shakyamuni. We could have Shakyamuni or an Amitabha Buddha, and then we could have a Tara on one side and an Avalokiteshvara on the other. It's really hard to say when we're looking at sculpture. But this type of non-iconic, very narrative-based, very natural type of posture was very, very popular for a number of hundreds and hundreds of years. And within the Himalayan region, so within Nepal and Tibet, and then moving into northern China, Mongolia, then this style of depicting figures from the Mahayana Sutras really fell out of fashion and was replaced by really the tantric figures that represent Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, or Tara.